Backwards into the future, nostalgia and subversion in video games. Across the current American entertainment landscape, remakes, reboots, and revivals are dominant. Media theorist Marshall McLuhan offers insight into this recycling phenomenon. In The Medium is the Message, he wrote, "When faced with a totally new situation, we tend always to attach ourselves to the objects, to the flavor of the most recent past. We look at the present through a rearview mirror. We march backwards into the future." In a 1977 interview, he said, "One of the big parts of the loss of identity is nostalgia. So there are revivals in every phase of life today. We live by the revival. It tells us who we are or were." However, while many theorists view nostalgia as a largely negative force that suppresses creativity, I'd like to argue that nostalgia may actually be driving innovation in current American video games. Nostalgia can be the emotion that initially draws players into a game, but it is being used to subvert expectations, challenge oppressive values, and introduce new technologies. Undertale, released in 2015 by Toby Fox, uses 8-bit music, pixelated art, and a top-down perspective reminiscent of 80s and 90s role-playing games, such as Super Mario Bros. And Legend of Zelda. These nostalgic elements make the player receptive to Undertale's atypical morality system. While most RPGs are based on good versus evil, in Undertale, players choose pacifist, neutral, or genocide routes. Each route is defined by how much violence the player chooses to engage in. In addition to fight commands, there is an Act button that activates a diplomacy mode. When Act is selected, the player's goal is to get the monster NPC to stop fighting and spare them without harm. For players who are used to grinding cycles of exploration, then cutscene, then battle, Undertale subverts conventions of the RPG genre. The game's mechanics remember previous playthroughs and customize future content based on them. Undertale blurs boundaries between real and virtual ethics, similarly to how distinctions between players and avatars can fade in military games, as discussed by Dr. Brian Cowlishaw. For example, if you kill the character Toriel, regret it, and reload to play the scene again, the game will lecture you on the ethics of killing and the power to shape fate. If you choose the genocide route, where you kill everyone, at the end of game you are offered the choice to erase the entire world as we know it, which pushes the player to question whether in-game choices can have real-world consequences. One could say that Undertale plays you as much as you play it. Released in 2015 by Square Enix and Don't Nod Entertainment, Life is Strange explores tensions between past and present. The game is set in 2013, but it is replete with references to 90s youth culture, including Polaroid cameras, handwritten diaries, and rock posters. Max Caulfield, a shy high school senior in Oregon, discovers that she can rewind time. Player choices can be revised upon observation of their impacts. The mechanic was inspired by how save states function within retro game emulators. On an emulator, the player holds down a single key to rewind games to a previous point, an action that wasn't possible on the original consoles. Life is Strange uses double exposure visual effects to connect time travel with the nostalgia of looking at old photographs. Gamers are pushed to question how we might change our lives if do-overs existed. Even if you choose to play without rewinding, the dialogue choices invite you to consider the ethics of refraining from using a power that could save lives. Several studios declined to publish the game unless Max could be switched out for a male protagonist, but Don't Nod refused. Similar to Lara Croft, as analyzed by Helen Kennedy, Max is an ambivalently feminist representation who complicates the divide between active spectator manipulating time and space and passive image on screen. While her sexual orientation is unstated, the game offers Max the option to romance her best friend Chloe, revealing possible queer readings of the game. Most conversations between Max and Chloe pass the Bechdel test, and their dialogue options explore issues of mental health, sexual assault, and violence against women. Since the release of the Game Boy Blue and Red games in 1996, the popularity of Pokemon in America has never wavered. Drawing on this 20-year legacy of nostalgia was key to the success of Niantic's 2016 mobile game Pokemon Go, which became the most popular mobile game in U.S. history, breaking several world records for revenue. That popularity has endured. 2021 was Pokemon Go's second most profitable year since release. While the game does not directly challenge oppressive cultural values, it is one of the first major mobile games to use augmented reality technology connected to GPS location maps. Players catch Pokemon creatures who appear digitally in real locations, requiring movement and blurring boundaries between concrete and digital space. This technology requires gamers to break away from the immersive graphics and sound experiences of indoor gaming, yet the same nostalgia which drives popularity of the Pokemon franchise is cultivating acceptance of augmented reality. This is called hedonic motivation, an individual's perceived pleasure while using a technology, despite the side effects including increased loyalty to a brand. Augmented reality is poised to become a pillar of the mobile game market, and appealing to memory to move gamers into the streets is a recipe for success. Nostalgia in video games clearly isn't going away anytime soon. More than half of the top-selling games of 2021 in the US were franchise titles making significant use of nostalgia, including Pokemon, Mario, and Marvel superheroes. It's important to stay aware of drawbacks of looking to the past, but nostalgia can also be an antidote to depression or stress when paired with the interactivity of gaming. We have powerful opportunities here to push game developers and studios to look beyond nostalgia as blunt marketing and implement it to shift oppressive norms in gaming culture. Thanks for watching.